with you. Here we are for the third installment of the Pier 7 Food and Fuel from Mind Mount Models. And this is all going to be about the details that go along with it to bring the kit to life. And then, if I remember, maybe at the end, we'll bring it over here in this peninsula area and put it somewhere, at least temporarily, because seriously, other than the lighthouse that you can probably see, you see some of these other buildings on piers here, none of this stuff is probably in its permanent home yet. I still have to figure out the land, sea walls, rocks, and rock walls and retaining walls, things like that. The road, which don't know if you can see it, probably not, but it comes in here off layout and makes a right turn and goes down here and probably a loop to kind of a touristy area, but still has some marine type businesses with it. There's a lot of places to eat and drink here, so bring your plastic people over. They can get a full belly real quick, because we got clams and we got beer and we got burgers and we got milkshakes and we have all kinds of cool stuff here. So anyways, if you'd like, and it would be awesome if you just come along with me, we're going to go over to the workbench and I'll show you these details, and we'll get this whole 3-part series wrapped up. All right, thanks. See you soon. Okay, back to barnacles, says SpongeBob. Did a little dry brushing on them with some gray and some burnt umber and a little bit of white here and there to add some bleaching effect. So they're not all the same color. I got them the whole way down and around. Over here, we made seaweed. Took this little piece of twine, cut off a little snippet, spread it and tore it all apart. Grabbed the little bits and pieces in a pair of tweezers and hit them with hairspray. Rolled them around in some ground foam, hit them in hairspray again. So these will be, I'll pull these apart a little bit more. They'll be wrapped around the legs, around the cross beams, where boat wake and waves would typically wash that stuff up. Speaking of boat wake, high tide line there and the lower parts, at some point I should just, since I got to do it, I'm going to do it with all my piers out there at one time with some gloss medium. I'm almost out of this, so I got to get another bottle. We hit it with that clear gloss at the bottom. It'll look like they're wet, which is what we're after, since tides rise and fall and things stay wet when the tide goes down and boats slosh water on them and things like that. So things always stay wet underneath there, and we got to make it look like it's wet. So that's one way to do it. So not going to worry about that for this video. That's for another day when it comes to water. So let me get this seaweed put on here. All right, getting these some of these parts painted. So figured I'd stop for a minute, let something dry, and just go over what we got so far. There's some cleats right here that'll go on this floating dock. I'll glue them on. Painted them as silver. There'll be some rust around where the bolts would attach. So you'll see a little bit of that shortly. Once the glue dries. There was 6 of them on the sheet, and when I was cutting them loose, one went flying like a missile somewhere, and it's here somewhere. So I will find it. I wasn't planning on putting all 6 on there anyhow. I was going to put 4, maybe 1 on each end, and then 2 out front. You can't have 6 boats tied up around this thing. It would be pretty crowded. So that's it for that. Trash cans will go up by the restaurant. Painted those silver, added some weathering powders to kind of dull it down a little bit. There'll be some spillage around them. Maybe little grease drips or slop on the side of them. So that's what we'll add to that. These chairs, I did a blue, green, yellow, and red. to go around this table. Look how detailed that is for a 3D print on the table. I think it's flipping awesome. It looks just great. So I thought it'd be cool and festive to have colored chairs around it. The table itself I painted with a color. I'm going to dig it out here. It's a metallic color. You know what? I used it on those poles that go to the telltales over on one of the other videos you'll see. If you want to go back and recheck out. I think it was called Super Detailing Scenery or something like that. This palette color is awesome. It's called Obsidian. It's a metallic acrylic. And it's almost a black. Not quite. Has that little shine to it. Makes it look like that's just an iron table made of iron and embossed with some cool designs on it. So anyhow, that's that. Did the chairs. I got these other two chairs. Just did them as wooden chairs. They're kind of like tall bar stool type chairs. And then another little table there. I did the base the same color as that table. Also painted up a chimney and added a little soot around the top. And this little smoke jack right here, which I need to dull it down a little bit. It's a little bit too black for me at this point. And the other things we got done were life rings. 2 of them, orange and white. They look pretty cool. So, all right, so there's where we go. And I will be back once we get some more painted up. Alrighty, painted up this little outboard motor. I don't really see any purpose for it with this kit. So it's going to go in my parts box and maybe go over with one of my other marine supply dealers in the town over there. Next we did this sign. There's a little laser cut piece that I see. I cut that out of there. So I used that as the base for the sign. Cut the sign out, weathered it, rusted it a bit. And then on the back side, put these boards on. I don't know if that's typically the way you'd make it, but whatever. Got two posts for it. Go on there, and then there's a cross piece I cut out of some scrap wood somewhere. There. That'll go below the sign over top of the 2 posts. And then we'll add our little water lines to it. And this will actually be stuck out in the water a little bit off the side of this floating dock. So, okay, that's that. We will be back. And next up on the docket here is the cleats. It doesn't really look that orange in person, but it does on the camera. It's like too light a rust I'd put on there. So I don't know. I might darken it up a little bit. I have darker rust paint and stuff. It might just be a little too orangey. It's not quite as orange in person, like I said, but who knows. I'm not 100% happy with it. But anyhow, the cleats are on there. Started working on this gas pump. Getting it painted up. One thing that helps with this, since the hoses are not flat up against it and there's space underneath them, I need to get paint in underneath that. One thing that helps with that is a brush like this, which is used for people who like to paint designs on their fingernails. It's a nail brush, real tiny. It can get in there perfectly underneath. Don't even need magnifiers. You can get right in there and paint it. So I got a set or 2 of these really cheap on Amazon. There's different lengths, some that are even finer than this brush. So it's just an option for you if you want to paint, painting into the details. You need something real tiny to get in there and do it with. brushes like that work fine. So I'm going to finish this up, and I have some signs for the pump itself that I'll have to glue on. What else did I do? Oh, I'm working on this flagpole. So let me move something out of the way here. Alright. The instructions have you use a square piece of wood. I think it's the, what is it? The oh, I forget what size it is, but it's, I don't know. Didn't want a squared off pole, so I just used a small dowel, painted it that obsidian black to make it look metal. And then I needed a place to tie the rope on, which isn't tied yet. So I figured I'd use one of those extra dock cleats I have. Yeah, what the heck. Made it tall enough that a HO scale guy can take the flag up and down. So here it is so far. And I'll wait till this dries and then show you what it looks like. And I shall be back. Okay, next is this sign. It's all done and ready with its obligatory barnacles. Got the little rusted up sign a little bit. And our slop and stuff on the poles and some algae. So there we go with that. Time for my weekly soda pop. Here's another good one. Yalritos. Mandarin orange flavor, and it's made with real cane sugar. So I waited till I'm about done painting all this stuff before the sugar kicks in, and then I get real jittery. But let me show you this fish, which I have now decided is a marlin. Wow, what an absolute fun build and a gem of a kit from Ron at Mind Mount Models. I'm going to call it done. There's a few things I added to it that aren't part of the kit, so I'll go over those with you. So you know, if you do order the kit, that those particular things aren't with it. So let's get down and dirty a little bit here, if I can. Right now, the ramp is not glued to either the floating dock or the landing. It's just precariously perched there for purposes of this video. Once it gets onto the layout is when I'll actually glue it on. Moving it around now, if I move it to one spot on the layout, then change my mind, move to the other side, it'll fall off or come unglued. So, or something. So it's just better to leave it like this. It's easier to transport it and move it in 3 sections. So, made a little hook for the life ring. So it's just perched there. Added some patrons. Made a little menu tent card that sits in the middle of that table. That didn't come with the kit. That's just something I added. The light post is probably a temporary one. Eventually, once I get around to doing lighting and stuff, that's a non-working one, but it's there for aesthetic purposes only. I think it's a Woodland Scenics metal casting. I've had around in my parts box forever. Oh, let's see, what else? Painted the seagulls, put them on there. They come with the kit. Also in the kit, there's, like, with the seagulls, there's another bird that's a lot bigger and it has its wings outstretched. I I don't know what it is, actually. I measured it in HO scale, and it's got a 6-foot wingspan, which is pretty darn big. So I'm not sure what kind of bird it's supposed to represent. Birds like great blue herons have wingspans that big, but they're not, it didn't look like it, actually. So it didn't look like a heron. So I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. So I opted not to paint it, and it's just back in the parts box in case I figure out. Now this white marlin, that came with it. So I made a little display case for it. Put a piece of acetate, made a little box out of wood, put some acetate over it, a little sign on top, used some dry transfer decals. I thought that'd be a pretty cool idea. The plants there, they didn't come with a kit. The pots are from some other kit. I don't know. Can't remember now. And then I just made the plants that go in it out of some super tree material and some foliage. So yeah, I added a milk can. Added the, I don't know if you can see it underneath the underhang there. There's a, I want you for U.S. Army sign. Added that. I'm going to try to move this slightly rotated without things falling. Down here, let's move this boat. That doesn't come with the kit. The oyster barge doesn't come with the kit. I'm not sure where the boat is. That's a resin casting. And then this is, I believe, from Foscale Models. Yeah, so I added a barrel. Gas pump comes with it. Painted that. Added the signage to it. Over on this side, there's another life ring hook. Stuck the old no wake sign on there. So yeah, pretty cool. Awesomely fun. Highly recommended. This would make an awesome diorama. If you don't have a layout, it would be pretty cool to turn it into some neat diorama you could put around your house or something. The flagpole, I think I mentioned a little bit ago. That's different. That's just a piece of dowel. Oh, I added the, yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, we're moving stuff. Yeah, the rope tied around the dock cleat there. So, that's all in all. I'm going to call this a wrap. Well, thank you, folks, for coming along. Oh, I added the puppy dog, too. I need a puppy dog sitting there. He's looking a little emaciated and hungry. Yeah, ropes. I added some ropes. I just tied them on. As if they were cut loose from some long ago crab trap or something. So there's one there and there's another one somewhere else. On the other side, I think. So, again, thank you for coming along. Thanks for checking this out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. And this is going to make a nice addition to my expansion area of the layout at some point. So until the next one, we will catch you later. Bye-bye now.